Alright guys, I thought I would do a quick update on the plants I've recently sown in a number of small containers. We are now 8 weeks into the grow, and since the last small container video about a month ago, I have not done much to them. Right after that video was shot, the containers with zero germination were replaced by some fresh new ones. And that's the only thing I did to them. I have not looked at them since, and we will take a first look at them together today. Oh yeah, another thing I did, right after replacing the dead containers, is to take them all outside, as the weather was starting to warm up. They are now on top of a cheap garden table, underneath some shade cloth. Unfortunately, we've had a very strange month of May and early June, with about half of the days being cloudy, if not frankly very dark and cold. Which means the plants probably won't have grown very much. If I had kept them inside under T5 tubes, they certainly would have grown more. But no one can know ahead of time what the weather's going to be like. Anyway, let's open the containers and find out how they're doing. The first container I'll be opening today is these Bolivian torches. Here you can see that some of them are much bigger than others. That happens when some seeds are a bit slow to germinate compared to others. Interestingly enough, some of the plants are brownish and reddish. This is because Bolivian torches typically tolerate less sun than other Trichocereus species. Personally, I still treat them to the same amount of light as the rest of my plants, as it is more convenient for me this way. They do fine nevertheless. But of course, you could also put a kitchen rag on top of that container to filter out the light more until the plants return to green. Here's another one of the Bridgesii containers, or Bolivian torches if you prefer. And for some reason, these appear to have grown a bit more. They are starting to grow spines all over them, and the ribs are just about to start forming. More of the same. It's funny how they seem to grow at different paces. I guess some of them are faster grower than others. They must have better genes. Which is why if you select the fastest grower and make them have babies when they are adult, then you will create a super strain with faster growing characteristics. This is also a container of Bridgesii, but these were all the seeds that I had previously revived. Here and there you will find some very young plants recently born that contrast with some of the older plants already showing lots of spines. In this container we have some Knuthianus looking very green, which is accentuated by the presence of green algae in the soil. For some reason these seedlings are looking quite fat, much fatter than the Bridgesii. It could be that Knuthianus seedlings look quite fat. I cannot remember what Knuthianus seedlings are supposed to look like. But it could also be that the father plant, the one that gave the pollen, was the fat species of Trichocereus. I'm not saying it was, but it's a possibility since these seeds were open pollinated. Only time will tell. Here we have the Taquimbalensis. These have also grown since last month. They are now quite fat. The Taquimbalensis is what I would qualify as a fat Trichocereus, but nowhere near as fat as for instance a Terskeiki. These are the crosses between a Trichocereus Atacamensis and a Pachanoi. These seedlings are quite small, just like the seeds were. They were very tiny. The adult plant should be quite large though, with a width that is somewhere in between a San Pedro and an Atacamensis, which is a really fat plant. As for the speed of growth, the Atacamensis is a very slow growing plant, but the process should be speeded up by the Pachanoi, which as we all know is a fast grower. These are the Peyote seeds purchased from that well-known German cactus seed seller. They've grown quite a bit and are already starting to look very peyote-like. Very cute plants. I think peyotes have a lot of visual appeal. Later on, with time, they will switch from a green color to blue, which makes them even better looking in my opinion. In this other container, more peyote seeds. These are the ones I had bought from that other peyote seed producer that turned out to be a total disappointment. Very few plants came up in this container. There were 2 containers in fact. In the other one, there were a few plants as well, but they all ended up being wiped out by white mold. I did spray a bit of hydrogen peroxide in that container in the last episode of this miniseries, and I was supposed to check on them later on, but quite frankly, I forgot about that. I left them abandoned, and I guess the mold came back and spread to them all. When I opened that container, there wasn't even any mold that I could see. No plant, no mold. I guess the mold took their lives away and then disappeared as it didn't have anything else to feed on. Here's a container of peyotes from my dad. Not many plants came up, as I suspect the seeds he gave me were a bit old. It does not normally collect the seeds, so they might have been on the plants for quite some time. Still, the cacti that came up are growing steadily. This is the other container of peyotes from my dad. Last month, one of the two containers had some mold. I can't remember which one it was. I treated it at the time, and here it seems to have worked. The mold does not come back. This shows again the advantage of growing things in smaller containers. If you have a mold problem that kills all the plants in one container, it only affects that one container. It cannot spread to the other containers, whereas if you have mold in a very large tray where you grow all your seedlings together and you leave it unattended, you could have a very bad surprise next time you check on them. Here we have the 60 Pachanoi seeds from 2017. These are 3-year-old seeds that I planted just to see what the germination rate would be for these older seeds that had not been stored properly. We saw in the last video that 42 plants came out of 60 seeds. That's a 70% germination rate. They have a few more spines compared to last month, but they don't look much bigger or fatter. With an indoor grow with T5 fluorescent tubes, you would have definitely seen faster growth. Here we've had a very uneven weather for the past month, with at least 10 days that were either very dark or rainy. You may remember some of the containers did not give me any single plant. Those had very old seeds in them. They were moved to a corner of my terrace and subjected to one dry-wet cycle, but so far it has not brought back any life to them. I probably need to try another dry-wet cycle. Sometimes this method works, some of the time it doesn't. It depends on how old the seeds were and also to what conditions the containers are exposed. It's possible that with the lid closed in the sun, the temperatures raised well above the range suitable for germination. It's not like these seeds were important to me, otherwise I would have ensured the conditions are right. These dead containers have been replaced by a few new ones, which I will show you now. In this container, I've put the rest of the seeds I bought recently from that new Lophophora seed producer, the one that had given me disappointing results. I will count the seeds and show the amount on the screen so that you know how many seeds germinated out of the lot. At first glance, it does not look too great. Like I said in the previous video, I won't buy seeds from this gentleman anymore. I don't know if his seeds are old or if he disinfects them with bleach or something, but that's not a good germination rate. Here I did a germination test on some of my own seeds. This is a cross between two of my Pachanois, one of them called Francis and the other one called Sardagnola A3. These are just names I've come up with. They are related to the history of each plant and how I got them. These are seeds from last year, as the new harvest for this year won't be here for another couple of months. The results of the germination test will appear on the screen. I sowed 40 seeds in there. Now if you remember well, in the last episode of this series, I experienced uneven results with the germinations of my Bridgesii seeds. The 5 containers of 40 seeds each varied from 19 to 35 plants. Quite a big difference, which could have been due to the difference in humidity in the soil between containers. So this time, I did a new test with the same seeds. This time around, I divided 120 of them in 2 containers. The germination rate will appear on the screen. It should be more reliable than my previous findings. Here we have the other new container of 60 Bridgesii seeds. Here again, the germination results will appear on the screen. The 2 containers had exactly the same level of humidity and the same growing conditions, so they should have more or less the same germination rate. If there are discrepancies, it's probably because some plants often die during the first few weeks. Really, to do a proper germination test, you would need to check on them just after they've germinated, not weeks later as I'm doing now. Certainly, you would find a higher germination rate than the one that appears on the screen now. Here I've sown another 40 Taquimbalensis. Last month with the previous batch I counted 35 plants out of 40, that's an 85% germination rate. We will see on the screen if the new batch of this month rates better or worse. Lastly, here we've got another new container. This one is a bit bigger than the other ones and is full of Bolivian Torch seeds. There was no lid with this one, so I put some transparent film around it. As you can see, the soil is cracked. This is because this container is made of a very slim and flimsy plastic. This is not ideal. You have to be careful not to twist the container too much when you handle it, otherwise it will all fall apart. A more rigid container is always preferred, but this is what I had handy. This one's from the supermarket, it contained corn salad. As a conclusion, we've lost the plants in one of the containers that had a few peyotes in there and a mold problem. The mold has not come back so far in any of the containers, and the seedlings keep on growing fine without any effort on my part. I will try to leave them enclosed for as long as possible, as this way I don't have to water them. I'll check on them again and do another video in this mini-series, probably in about a month. If you are currently growing baby cacti from seeds, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any question, please ask it there as well. I only check the comments from time to time, but if I don't answer it, hopefully someone else will. If you want an answer for sure, you can also send me an email. All for now, and I'll see you soon for more videos. Before you leave, make sure you smash the likes and subscribe so that you stay informed of my future videos. Ciao!